Welcome to a nourishing midweek lunch hour conversation with Spokane's newsmakers, thought leaders, and popular entertainers. Spokane Talks Live is brought to you by our friends at Homes for You and Breakthrough Incorporated. Welcome to Spokane Talks Live.
Welcome to Spokane Talks Live. Kent Adams here. We've got to change glasses from, the reading glasses to welcome to being old. We have a great program today, a very important program today. I've got Alisha, Mike, and Marty. You can figure out who they are next. To hear it from GSI and the school districts and the volunteer groups to push and promote the levies and bond issues that are coming up. And this is an important topic because funding our schools, not only for ongoing expenses, but also rebuilding and adding on is an important topic, and it's the future for Spokane in our area. Education really comes down to that, and we'll talk about that today. Then we're going to talk with Kathy McMorris Rodgers. She's going to stop by for about 20 minutes. Next on Spokane Talks Live.
For the Inland Northwest's most comprehensive sports report, think outside the porch with spokesman.com. For just 99 cents for the first month, you'll enjoy unlimited digital access to the news and sports news that affect you most. From EWU to WSU, from Northwest Preps all the way to the Seahawks, we're the local authority that makes sports in the Inland Northwest different than the rest, better than the rest. On your phone, on your desktop, and on your tablet. Subscribe to the digital experience with spokesman.com.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
Welcome back to Spokane Talks Live. What is today? It's the 24th of January. Wow, where is the month going? First topic is school bond and levy issues. The election is coming up in a few weeks. You're going to be getting your ballot probably in a few days. I have Alisha Benson from the GSI, and your title is COO?
That's correct.
Okay, what does that mean?
Chief Operations Officer.
Uh-oh.
Keep it all moving forward.
Absolutely.
Isn't that what it means?
Absolutely.
The catch-all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the catch-all is a good one.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah.
Mike Livingson from Kiemle, Hagood, and obviously you're involved in the education issues and so forth as well. Mike, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
And Marty Dickinson is here from Umqua Bank.
Nice job in the pronouncing of that.
Yeah,
you got it right.
That's it for today,
Excellent.
kid. Yeah. From now on, it's just from the bank. Okay. Good people. It comes down to not only GSI, but the business community usually is the group that steps up to help support and encourage voters to take a look at the levy and bond issues. And I'm going to ask you, Alisha, from the GSI standpoint, why is this important?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to ask you to move forward just a little bit.
Moving forward.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure.
At GSI and with Greater Spokane Incorporated, our board and the business community, truly this investment that K-12 schools are foundational to a healthy economy, and that education grows economies. And so how we invest in our schools is really important for how we move our community forward, how we make sure that our employers have the talent that they're looking for in the future, but also so much of just building the community that we want. And, you often talk about how important the quality of life is, and schools are so foundational to that.
Yeah, it really is. We often refer to an educated society, and it first starts at K through 12, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, and we've looked over the years, and we've seen times where the community colleges and higher education say, ooh, we're not doing quite as well, the input from young students and so forth. But that's improving, isn't it? Marty, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we often say a community is known by the school it keeps.
Yes.
And I think that that's a really important statement because if we're willing to invest in our future, then that's kind of hitting on multiple
Yeah.
levels, whether it's from the business community standpoint, whether it's from, just a healthy youth, as well as just a quality place that people want to live, work, and play.
Right. A lot of folks have complained, and there's been some action on the minimum wage issues and so forth. And my answer often is, okay, where's the education? What kind of education do you have? If you haven't graduated from high school and done some of the basics, how do you expect to get that $25 an hour or $20 an hour or $30? That really does play into, from the business community standpoint. Talk about the bank. As you look at people who are applying, you want them to have the basics, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You need them to have the basics, and not only the basics, but you want them to be well-rounded,
Yeah.
Healthy young individuals who are contributing citizens to the communities that they live in. And I think that a healthy public education system can produce that, but we have a responsibility to be able, as citizens, to be able to help our school districts in that effort.
Now, are you spending more time as a parent or as a business person getting involved in this?
That's a really good question.
Yeah. I thought it was.
It's a very good question. I mean, I'm a parent of 3 kids and a product myself of the Central Valley School District.
Okay.
From grade 2 all the way through high school, and then I have 3 children that have, are finding their way
Yes.
through the system as well, in a very productive manner, I'd like to add.
Okay, good, good.
I hope
they
so
are.
far so good, right?
Yeah. Ken, if you don't mind,
No.
there are a couple things you touched on that I'd like to comment on.
Absolutely.
I've been volunteering. I'm a commercial real estate broker, and it's not at all uncommon for me to have somebody in my car who's come into town to make a decision about a facility, the location of a facility,
And what do they ask you about?
they ask
the
about
schools,
they
don't
ask
they?
about a lot of things. They ask about traffic, they ask about housing, and they always ask about schools. And
Yeah.
they ask about schools for 2 reasons. They're going to send employees to live here, and they want to make sure that it's a good environment for
Good
those
point.
employees. And to Marty's point, communities are known by the schools they
Yeah.
keep. And then secondly, they want to make sure that there is a quality of workforce and a depth to the workforce.
Yes.
And so there is a direct link, and I think everybody acknowledges there's a direct link between the health of your public schools and the health of your workforce.
And that really healthy education system and students coming out really allows us to move beyond just, and I don't mean it this way, service or entry-level jobs, but to have the depth there to hire and to grow a business,
Yeah, and
current or new.
right.
You
And I think to that point, Spokane Public Schools and I think other districts in the area as well have gone out of their way to make sure that they're just not training people to go to 4-year colleges.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Spokane Public Schools has a T24 program where they're preparing people for technical colleges, 2-year degrees. And a lot of that is due to the feedback that they've gotten from the business community, what the business community in Spokane needs from public education.
Yeah.
Yeah, and along those lines too, I mean, Central Valley School District, has what they call Spokane Valley Tech, which is
Yes.
just really, really well known and very, very unique in the subset of how it came about. Mike in his capacity as a commercial real estate broker and helped the district think outside the box of taking a empty building
Yes.
that once was a grocery store, if you will, and turned it into a learning center for kids that can go learn the science of fire. They can learn STEM. They can learn things around AutoCAD. I mean, there's so many other opportunities that we need to be preparing our youth for, and that's really being put upon our public school systems to do that.
Well, and we're starting to have, again, a booming economy, which means the real estate industry is doing well and so forth. And I've asked one leading contractor here in town, builder, who builds homes and so forth, and I said, well, if it's going so well, why don't you hire more people and build more? And he said, Kent, I can't find the talent out there. So it isn't all 4 years. It's some trade and so forth.
Absolutely.
And there's some good salaries there. Some of these are starting out at $45,000, $55,000 a year, which in Spokane is really good money and well above the minimum wage and so forth. But they got to have some background or willingness to do an apprentice program and so forth. So tell me about the various bond and levy issues.
Well, I'll start
Okay.
On behalf of
Let
Central
me
Valley
guess,
School
Central
District.
Valley.
Yes. Go Central Valley School District. Again, I had the good fortune of co-chairing the committee back in 2015.
Okay.
Where our district passed for the first time in 17 years a bond.
Oh, wow.
And
So they wouldn't let you go. They brought you
right,
back,
so
didn't
then
they?
you get the good fortune, right? I'm not sure if I'm the lucky one or maybe, you know.
Well, you deserve what you got.
Right? But I did it in 2015, and I'm doing it again now because that Central Valley School District has been very, very good financial stewards
Okay.
and really transparent to their citizens of how they're using those dollars. And they were very good with that. And so I thought, I'm going to step forward because I have children in a high school that is bursting at the seams. We have 2 high schools within Central Valley School District. Currently, they have capacity for 3,200 students, and they're sitting at about 4,300 students today.
Oh, wow.
The projected growth going forward in 2021 will be about 1,300 students over capacity come 2021.
Now, back in my days, I went to a high school with 1,200.
Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there lies, the challenges, but there's opportunities here, and this is a really great moment in time for our school district. But so overcrowding is significant.
Yes.
It's a significant issue for us as well in our middle school area. Parts of our district have grown by 60% in the last 5 to 7 years.
You said 60, not 16, right?
60%,
Okay.
yes.
Wow.
So again, there's a responsibility to be able to continue to keep up with that growth.
Yes.
And our citizens have been, really good about trusting over the last 4 years, and we are really confident that we've demonstrated that the school district will continue to be these really transparent, authentic stewards, and feel good about what we are putting on the table. We have one particular project. We have a middle school that's 37 years old and has never been remodeled or updated.
Oh, no.
And I always say, if you had a 37-year-old home where you had hundreds of teenage kids walking through it, living in it every day,
Lord,
what do
yeah.
you suppose maintenance
Well,
might
it
be?
would
Just a
have
few
fallen
things,
by now, right? Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great. Other schools?
In Spokane Public Schools,
Okay.
they're running a levy, an operation and maintenance levy.
Okay.
And,
So no buildings at this point?
no buildings at this point. This is a levy to replace one that will be expiring.
Okay.
And the great news is it's encouraging that the state is now doing a better job of funding public schools and basic education
Yes.
because of the McCleary decision.
But that doesn't solve the whole issue, though, does it?
Not yet. Hopefully
Okay.
it will at
Okay.
some point. But it still represents a little bit more than 10%. The levy represents a little bit more
Okay.
than Spokane, the levy represents a little bit more than 10%
Yeah.
of Spokane Public Schools' overall budget. And levy dollars go toward things like security personnel,
Yes.
libraries and librarians, sports, music activities, clubs.
Okay.
Intramural activities that frankly, I think most people would consider part of a basic,
Yeah,
well-rounded
yeah.
education. And so,
Well, the whole issue of arts and everything else have kind of gotten the back seat, although I guess what I'm seeing these days with some of the plays and other things put on, that the bar is rising.
Absolutely.
That it's not just sports, and I don't want to take
Absolutely.
away from sports. However, challenging the mind and everything else that comes with talents in other areas, I think, is very important.
one more thing on that
Yeah.
levy. The great thing about Spokane Public Schools levy this year is it will actually, and the levy is for the years 2019, 20, and 21, it will
Okay.
actually represent a reduction
Okay.
in cost
Okay.
to taxpayers.
Okay. Reduction is always nice.
Yes.
All
Well, and
right.
along the lines, kind of to follow up on Mike's too, with Central Valley School District, we too are obviously going out for a levy, but the bond that we are going out for is a renewal, or it's a bond that is expiring, and we are
Okay.
asking our voters to renew. So there
Because
is
the need
that.
for building hasn't gone
Yes.
away. Yeah.
But I would say, and again, another reason why I, as a business person, as a parent, as a community leader, am willing to kind of put my name and hat on this,
Yes.
is that the district's able to come forth and say, you know what, we've been diligent in our planning.
Yes.
We've been patient around what we've asked for. We could have asked for everything in 2015, and we opted to be patient.
Right.
And now we can come to you and ask for a new comprehensive high school,
And-
a renovated middle school, and a new and an additional middle school, all while saying we don't need to increase the tax rate at all.
Yeah,
We
and
can
see what
maintain-
we've done and how we've done it
Yes,
responsibly.
and we can maintain
Yeah.
it. We're not asking you to do more. We're just asking you to continue the journey with us.
I love that approach, because sometimes you worry about taking it out to the voters, but ultimately it's their decision, and I think you've got a good story to tell. So why
Great.
not?
Right.
Yeah, and well,
Alisha?
I just two things I would add a little bit to pick up on the comment around the things like the arts and all of that
Yes.
is that we know that we want to have well-rounded students
Absolutely.
that turn into well-rounded citizens and employees. And what Levy's fund is so much of that additional experience.
Yeah.
You have basic education that is fundamental, and then how do we make sure that kids have opportunities? Every kid has opportunities
Yes.
to be in robotics clubs, to take on
Not
athletics,
everyone's gonna be a
to
football
be in
star.
drama and music and all of those things that really are essential for building the skills necessary for students to succeed in life.
Yeah.
And then what I would say is that Marty and Mike are representing two really important school districts in our community, and that we also have 10 other schools that have levies on the
Meade,
ballot.
I believe, is doing
And then
something.
Meade also has a bond. So
Okay.
Central Valley and Meade this year both have really important bonds to address the need for overcrowding and growth that we are seeing every single day in our community.
Let me ask this question from GSI's standpoint. Have they endorsed this?
We have. Our board is 100% endorsed the vote yes for
On all of them?
On all of them.
Okay,
all of the
so they
school
found-
levies and both school bonds.
Clearly found the value in all the levies and the bond issues where they are.
Hugely. I think Greater Spokane Incorporated 6 years ago, really, we've had a long-running partnership
Yeah.
between the business and education community, but 6 years ago really took a step by
Good.
endorsing and raising the importance of the business community,
Yes,
stepping
yes.
in, stepping up, and voting yes for school bonds.
Well,
levies.
because where GSI says, yes, this is important, then it gets the ear of the business community, which, let's face it, the leaders in the business community and those that work there are parents and grandparents of kids going to school. Now, all my kids have graduated, LC. Years ago, at this point, my youngest is 37, but I now have 8 grandkids, 6 of them going or will be going to Spokane schools, okay?
So you have to pay it forward
So am I
fast.
invested in that?
Yeah.
Of course I am,
Yeah.
because it's important for them. So absolutely.
I would say too that one of the things that I've certainly got out of this experience and the honor of getting to kind of lead this effort with people like Mike and Alisha. I mean, this is our, we're not new to this rodeo. We've done this together before, but
Is that a way of saying you've been around for a while?
there is that.
I have glasses too, so
I need glasses.
and Mike's just faking it. But I would say what we really saw in 2015, and I think we continue to see it, is this interesting rally that our community, from a business standpoint, and collectively our school districts coming together and kind of lifting this whole thing up as one boat, not independent boats of each other, right?
Right.
And I think that speaks a lot about our region. And it does speak a lot to GSI, helping unify
Yeah.
everybody around that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes folks that don't understand GSI don't understand, the investment it has in everything from Fairchild to education and to other things, and really kind of helps bring together all of the various communities. One of the things that kind of hits me is I think the business community also now stands up a little stronger, because haven't the various graduation rates increased over the last decade too here in the Spokane schools? And so they see, okay, we have a better graduation rate. Maybe part of that is that we're offering some other things other than just the math class. Some of these other arts and things like that I think are really important. Now, my wife would jump right in and say yes as an artist, a painter and so forth. And some of our staff even and our interns are involved in various productions in Spokane and the schools and so forth, and how important it is in their lives, because they can get the math at X school or Y school, but to have that other that really challenges the brain and standing and performing in front of a group and doing things like this, I mean, it really does make a well-rounded students. Last thoughts? What are we not covering?
I think I would just say,
Yeah.
on behalf of Central Valley School District, this is a really, really critical window.
Okay.
for our citizens, and that we have a moment in time to truly take a bond that is expiring and carry it forward and really be able to do this work without raising the tax rate.
Yeah.
If we don't do it now, the story becomes very different.
I was going to
down
say
the road.
it only spells trouble down if you're going to
the
go from
growth isn't
1,000 to
stopping.
1,300
Right.
and
Yes.
everything else.
So if we're not willing to kind of, we have great momentum around our effort, but I think it's really important for citizens to understand that.
Well, let's take a break. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome to Tom Sawyer Country Coffee.
Tom Sawyer Country Coffee only roasts the finest organic coffee for our signature blends. Enjoy a cup at our coffee shop and local businesses and organizations across the region.
I'm Tom Sawyer, and we choose the Pacific Northwest.
Last year alone, Avista customers saved over 53 million kilowatt hours of energy. Enough to power more than 4,000 homes for an entire year. Way to save, everyone. Way to save. Find your way to save at avistautilities.com.
What? You haven't been to the library lately? Stop in today and see that the library is more than books. Spokane County Library District facilities feature on-site technology, including Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, as well as free use of meeting rooms. The Library District offers events and programs for all ages, from story times to career development and employer classes to Social Security workshops. Our staff is well trained and happy to help. Find out more about your library at scld.org.
Welcome back to Spokane Talks Live. Mike, a question, a misconception, I believe, by probably a good number of people out there, unless they really follow what's going on in education. There was this McCleary Act, and then it was all solved by the state in terms of funding. Is that true?
Well, the good news is it's in the process of being solved.
So we're moving forward, but it isn't solved yet.
Right, and I would say that the state has taken a significant step towards solving it.
Okay.
And I would also expect that the state will continue to take steps to fully fund basic education, but that hasn't occurred yet. Therefore, this levy is still important for funding those critical activities like we talked about earlier.
And the problem is sometimes we hear the little bit of news and we think, well, therefore it's all taken care of. And so we need to make sure that our viewers that are watching right now and later understand that the levy still is important in all the school districts, as are the bond issues and so forth, that it isn't all solved yet. And I'm not sure it will be totally solved. There may still continue to be things that we want to do in local schools. But at that point, when that happens, my guess is the levy amount will be much reduced.
Correct. And there's one other thing that's probably worth noting, and that is that with the passage of this levy, if the state continues to increase funding, the district will reduce their levy amount commensurately. And so
okay,
there
so
won't
a year
be
from
double
now or 2 years from now, if there's more state money coming, what is passed this February could actually be reduced.
Correct.
Okay.
There won't be double collecting, in other words.
Okay. All right, well, we only do that here. Your bill will be handed to you on the way out. What else do we need to cover as we talk about these important issues? When do ballots go out?
Ballots actually started going out today.
Okay.
Most of them will end up in people's mailboxes either tomorrow or Friday.
Okay.
And I think it's really important that people get educated and that they vote. It's so important that people turn out and vote. And
where can they get more information?
So we have a couple of things. We have educationgrowseconomies.com, which is an overarching site for all of the different school bonds and levies.
I like that idea.
And so it gives overhead of why it's important, what the kinds of things, but then there's direct links to every school district.
Nice.
Both to their informational pieces as well as to the citizens groups that both Marty and Mike are representing. So people can make sure that they're informed and also that they can ask questions. Each of our districts have been really proactive on social media by making sure that they can be available to help their voters understand what's at stake, what the dollars are going to, and why it's so important that they vote yes.
Absolutely. Our future depends on it.
Yes.
My grandkids' future depends on it.
My current kid's future depends on it.
Wait, we don't care about your kids. No, I'm kidding, Alicia.
I do. He's only
yeah,
2.5,
I know. Well, thank you. This is important from a standpoint of Spokane Talks Online. We encourage you to not only vote, but to vote yes for these in your district. This is important. Education is the future for all of us. Okay? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Kathy McMorris Rodgers after this.
Thank you.
Last year alone, Avista customers saved over 53 million kilowatt hours of energy. Enough to power more than 4,000 homes for an entire year. Way to save, everyone. Way to save. Find your way to save at avistautilities.com.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
To find the right home for you, you'll work with your realtor to compare the properties you're interested in, analyze the market, and figure out a reasonable offer price. And now, here you are, ready to make an offer. Yay, you! Here's how it works. First, you'll complete an offer sheet which your realtor will then present to the owner. Sometimes, a nice note to the owner can help your offer stand out. Butter them up. Tell them how much you love their garden, that it reminds you of gardening with your grandmother as a child. Do not mention you're gonna bulldoze it and put in a pool. The owner may accept the offer, reject it, or counter. It's important to be in close contact with your realtor during the negotiation process so any changes can be reviewed. Your realtor is like your consigliere, and that makes you the Don. Once your offer is finally accepted, there are usually some contingencies that must be met in order to keep the contract alive. Inspections are totally common in real estate transactions. They include termite checks, surveys to determine boundaries, appraisals to determine value for lenders, title reviews, and structural inspections. This stuff is mind-numbingly fascinating. But you know what's even more fascinating? Actually getting your new house.
Welcome back to Spokane Talks Live, and one of my favorite guests, and I'm sure I'll hear about this from some folks. I loved it. Last time you were on, Kathy McMorris Rodgers, 5th District Representative, I loved it because someone went on and made a comment. Well, Kent is a lazy partisan interviewer. He listened to Kathy's lies and agreed to everything. Now, to me, the funny joke is that here's a guy who on his Facebook has a "not my president," so you can tell how objective he is, and is a tenured state-funded professor at EWU.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
We all need to just get past
exactly
the labels, the name calling, the hostility right now. As I approach this new year. And just what we've been through with the government shutdown, and which was totally unnecessary.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
We can't get to the issues. We can't get to the important issues that need to be addressed.
Yes.
Because we aren't even talking to each other.
Because we're shouting.
Yeah. Yes. We can't even sit around the table and say, okay, it's more about name calling and putting labels on people. And so that's why I've just been compelled to be doing more as a leader in this community, to be having the peaceful community roundtable discussions, the unity dinners. That's why I launched at the Martin Luther King rally this year, the Civility Challenge, #ReturnToCivilityChallenge, where my first challenge was just to invite someone, just go have a cup of coffee with somebody who is angry.
And Phil Tyler and others
Yes.
are saying, yes, let's do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have to, because until we just take a step back and remember we're all human beings and treat each other with dignity and respect, we are not going to be able to build strong families, strong communities.
Yeah.
And I just fear that the current course is so destructive. And so whether you're on the right or the left.
Stop it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it isn't the first time.
And
So-
it's happening on both sides. It is.
so-
I'll be the first to say that I see that on both sides across the country at least.
So I'm very proud. On February 13th in Washington, D.C. at Mount Vernon,
Yes.
we are having our first unity dinner
Okay.
among Republicans and Democrats.
Oh, nice.
And this is because it was the idea prompted by the unity dinners that I've been having in Eastern Washington this last year, which was Bobby
Yeah.
Inslow from Indaba Coffee
yeah,
who
yeah.
challenged me. He said, this was
Sit
right
down
after
with
the election.
people.
Yes, he said, Kathy, you're a leader in this community. People will respond to your invitation
Yeah.
and bring people together. So we're doing this.
Even if they don't agree with you.
That's right.
I mean, you want people who don't agree with you because you
Oh,
learn something.
you
We
do.
all learn when people will, with civility, sit down and talk with you, have a conversation.
Yes.
I mean, all of us.
We
You know.
put the phones away
Yeah.
and actually listen to each other's stories and experiences, and you're going to better understand and
Yeah.
appreciate each other and recognize that we want to live safe and secure. We want our
Yeah.
kids to have an opportunity for a better life. You know, we have shared goals.
Yes, yeah, we really do. And part of that is we want, and we just talked about it, I did, in the segment before this, about the school bonds and levies and so forth, that my kids, my youngest is 37, my oldest, Brad, who's Down
Yes.
syndrome, is turning 48 here in a couple
Oh,
of months.
my.
And so they're past the K through 12, but my grandkids aren't. They're all in K through 12, 6 of them here in Spokane. And it's important that we have a strong education system. That's something that no matter where you are in the political spectrum, we should all agree on. That we want the best for our kids
That's right.
and our grandkids.
Yes.
Hey, speaking of the best, I want to ask about David Milliken.
Mm-hmm.
You nominated him, and
Yes.
I think it's going on today.
It is, and of
Okay.
course, so he's back
Yeah,
in
what are you
Washington,
doing
D.C.,
here?
and I'm here, and I'm just so proud. Yes, so this is a national recognition for somebody who is a mentor.
Yes.
And he works out at the Hutton Settlement and
For
has
like 20 years,
For
isn't it?
yes, for 20 years,
Wow.
and has been meeting the needs of some kids that are in some really tough situations, mentoring them, investing his life, his time and energy into
Of course,
these
making
kids
a
and-
fortune, as all.
No,
But
not.
the fact is, there's probably not a better place where the kids are loved out there. And we both have a friend, Chud Wendell,
Yes,
who
yes.
is now running it out there. And I've had a chance to go out and meet with Chud and take a tour. It was years ago, and then recently with Chud. And what a wonderful place. They really care about those kids
Yes.
out there.
I've
It-
been
it-
out there
yeah.
too, and
It's-
and they create as much as they can a family
So he's-
around these kids. So he's back in Washington D.C.
at the Library of Congress?
Yes, Library of Congress. So this is a national recognition. The one person from Eastern Washington.
That's
that got
neat.
These, so I'm just.
Are you
I'm
proud?
I'm very proud, and I'm disappointed that I'm not there to help celebrate.
Yeah, but if you were, people would say, well, why isn't she in the district? So
Well,
you're here
yes,
in the district.
yes, yes.
Okay, I've got to ask about an announcement you made, I think, a week ago or so, and that is the VA here in town is going to open up for 24-hour.
Yes, this is great news.
Yes,
great news.
yes.
You know, it was just devastating to our veterans when
Absolutely.
they closed the emergency room, and the way that they did it too is really just bad timing, bad communication. This has been a priority for me to get this
Yes,
open
yes.
again. And when Secretary Shulkin when he was first confirmed, and I sat down and talked with him, he told me, first of all, he said, things are going to change at the Spokane VA, and I'm going to work with you on this. I'm going to work with you.
Great.
And we got a waiver. So it's a 24/7 urgent care, which makes sense. This is a place that veterans can go no matter the day, no matter the
And
hour.
they often have special needs.
Yes.
That not, you know what I mean? Doctors and nurses that understand what they've been through and so forth, where
Yes.
it may not be as easy at a Deaconess or one
Right.
of the other locations.
Right, and if they need to, they'll be able to stabilize them and get them the care. And if they really need to get to an emergency room, they can help do that. They were asking these veterans to get pre-approval, pre-authorization to go to an emergency room. So you imagine you are
Give me a
in
break.
an
How do you do that?
emergency situation, wherever you might be in Eastern Washington, up
Yeah.
in Colville or Newport or Usk, and then you're supposed to call and get a pre-approval, and you can imagine how that whole
As you're
process works.
driving to or in the
Yeah, it was
ambulance
just-
going
it
to.
was-
Yeah.
There were so many veterans that had either they even thought they got the pre-approval,
Yeah.
and then they got denied or got stuck with major bills, and it was a mess. So I'm thrilled about that. We're continuing to work to get this VA a teaching hospital.
Yes.
So we have 15 residencies that should already be there, and we're working
Here in
on
Spokane,
in
or-
Spokane, and
Oh,
then we
wow.
want to get some additional
How did I
ones,
miss
which
that
really
one? That's
complements
great.
the UW and
Right.
WSU medical schools, and residencies where they will be, working with our veterans, and
Yeah.
important experience no matter where they practice. I'm hopeful, though, that this is going to help meet the need that we have for more doctors at the Spokane VA, as well as other clinics and hospitals around Eastern Washington.
Right. I'm not a veteran, but I solely support, and the first people that we ought to be taking care of are our veterans, the men and women who stood up for us.
Yes.
And we owe them, whether it's PTSD or am I saying
yeah,
that?
that's right.
Yeah.
Traumatic brain injury or post-traumatic stress.
And they
yes.
break a leg.
Yes.
Whatever it is, we owe our veterans, and we shouldn't accept anything less than that. And you've really been an
Absolutely, Ken.
advocate
Absolutely.
for that. And what are we doing nationally with the VA? Because
well,
I
this-
still
yeah.
continue to see some issues out there.
Yes, yeah. Well, I totally agree with what you just said. It's the way that we, as a grateful nation,
Absolutely.
show our gratitude
Yes.
to those who've served, who put their lives on the line for us.
Absolutely.
And it's been a tremendous honor to be able to pin medals
Yeah.
or ribbons on these men and women through the years. They are outstanding individuals. At a national level, we're continuing to, we're working on getting the choice program to work better. So this was the choice program, so that if you'd been waiting more than 30 days, or if you live more than 40 miles from a facility, you'd be able to go to a doctor of your choice.
Yeah, I heard a report the other day that some VA hospital somewhere was still 60, 90 days out.
Right.
There's no excuse for that, is there?
So we want to give the veteran an opportunity to go someplace else.
Yes.
And I've supported, and the House has passed legislation to
Okay.
get rid of the 30-day and the 40-mile deal.
Yeah.
Just give the vet. So if they live,
Get them care.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, it shouldn't be so difficult and bureaucratic. This is the Veterans Administration. Their sole mission is to serve our veterans, and yet time and time again a veteran will knock on the door of the VA, and it's either closed or they can't figure out how to get that door open. We need to be rolling out the red carpet. I'm working also on the self-scheduling. So a veteran who wants to go online or use an app to schedule their
Welcome
appointments.
to the
can do that.
21st century, right?
So this
Yeah.
has been, again, the VA has fought me
Because
every step of the way.
I can do that for my doctor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Why can't we do it?
Right. And it's an option. You don't, if you still want to call the 1-800 number, you can do that. But if you want to go online, if you want to use the app, so they just, Secretary Shulkin again has been he's a get it done kind of a guy.
Good.
And there was a time this last year where I said, they're not going to do it. And when I brought it to his attention, he says, yes, we're going to do that.
Good.
We got the pilots going, and now we're working on getting that throughout the VA.
Yeah. What's up now in 2.5 weeks or so?
Mhm.
Everything comes back to the Senate and to the House.
Right.
Crystal ball,
Mhm.
which never counts, we know that. But
Right.
what do you think's going to happen? And don't get me started by bringing up Chuck Schumer's name, because
it was really unfortunate. It was
Yeah.
this shutdown was unnecessary.
Absolutely.
So the House, we passed our appropriations bills early on.
Right.
We have not been. We did that early on to avoid this situation, to avoid getting into where we hadn't. So we'd have continuing resolutions. The Senate, unfortunately, has not. It really points to a broken budget system. We budget based on the 1974 Budget Act, and it is broken.
But we're not really budgeting anymore, are we? We're doing the continuing resolution.
Exactly. We're not.
Now, why don't we? Because I'm going back to my 8th grade education in U.S. history, but doesn't it originate in the House?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So
and we did it. So we passed
for the full
our bills
budget.
For the full budget.
Okay.
It was the first time in a decade that had been done. But the new majority and the new when Paul Ryan became Speaker, he said, "We are going to do this.
Good.
It is our constitutional responsibility." You read Article 1 of the Constitution.
Yes.
It talks about the power of the purse.
Yes.
And that is our responsibility. It also is, that's where we gain our authority on behalf of the people to set priorities and to make these decisions as to programs and agencies. And if we're not doing that, if we're just passing continuing resolutions, that means the government's on autopilot.
Yeah. And that
that's a problem.
And that was the reason our forefathers formed the People's House.
That's right.
To be first in line for the budget.
That's right.
To represent us, because it's closer than two senators from the state.
So I'm proud to have joined with a majority of my colleagues in the House in passing those bills, but we got to get them through the Senate, and that's where I'm advocating. I'm advocating for we need to fix the broken budget process. I'm actually working right now on a bipartisan, bicameral group that would
So you'll have that done by this Friday? I'm kidding.
We need to get it done by this year.
Yes.
We need because the people because it is contributing to the breakdown of trust and confidence in representative government.
Well, it's become a government of no.
I believe in representative government. I believe in what our founding fathers laid out, and so I've supported a number of reforms to the budget process, and I also believe that we must do our work.
Yeah. Whew. Okay, I got to ask this question about Martin Luther King March and last Women's March of this last weekend, when, of course, they pulled the plug because they didn't want your video. I know who at least one of the organizers is, and I completely understand. Hopefully she's not out slapping kids anymore. Oh, that was a terrible thing to say. No, it wasn't. I've got to say something to our audience. Yeah, blame me for who I have on as guests, okay? But the instructions we have to all of our hosts is they can bring on whoever they want, okay? So other hosts can bring on people that I don't necessarily agree with, and we're going to have some on a couple of our programs. That's fine. That is left up. So don't blame STO, blame Kent for some of the things I say, all right? But I'm getting really tired of some of this far left rhetoric we're seeing out there and not having the civility and the decency to listen to your talk, to stand up and turn their backs on you. I'm sorry, but who raised these people? It's just unconscionable that folks would do that. I would go to that, and I would not vote for, and I'm not going to vote for Alisha Brown, okay? And I think most people that know me know that. But I would not do that to her at a public event.
Sure.
I might have her on here, and she and I will spar. But you got to have some respect for people, even the people you disagree with.
Yes, we do.
And I've got to ask you personally, how does that affect you? How do you put up with that? Because I'm not sure I would.
Well, I'm very concerned about the lack of civility and the breakdown of just basic decency in our society, and it's and I believe that it's very destructive, the path that we are on, and it's going to lead to more violence and it's
we see it across the country. Fortunately, in Spokane, the violence hasn't taken off.
Right.
But that could be the next thing that happens.
My hope in all of this, and as I've had to do my own soul searching, is that I want to make Spokane the model.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of making Spokane the model.
But we really do have good people here.
There's good people, and yes, we can have the battle of ideas.
Yes.
But we can do it with decency and respect for everybody. And my concern right now is that we can't even talk about the issues. We can't even talk about the challenges that we have in our community, or what is it going to take to build strong families and strong communities, because we can't even.
Because we're shouting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my hope, and why I felt compelled to be at the Martin Luther King rally, was because I believe as a leader in this community, that as I take those steps, and as I say, okay, see, I'm willing to do this, that others will take that return that step. And I launched the Commitment to Civility Challenge, hashtag return to civility. And I challenge people, go have a cup of coffee with somebody that you don't agree with, or maybe seems mad or sad, and let's listen to each other. Let's build the relationships. I mean, I love social media on one hand for however, we're more connected than ever, but we're also we are more isolated.
Yes.
And we say things that are so hurtful and so ugly to one another, and we aren't building the relationships.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think about, we've had the shooting at Freeman High School.
Yes.
We've seen suicides in our high schools. We see that people are anxious and they're angry and they're stressed out, and it all points to just a breakdown of some fundamentals in our society.
Yes.
And one of those fundamentals is civility. And recognizing that we are all human beings.
Yeah.
And we all have dreams and hopes, and we have to be willing to listen. We have to build relationships, and that's the way you build stronger communities. And I'm very encouraged with the Peaceful Community Roundtable, that those individuals took a chance. They've been criticized.
They've taken some flack, haven't they?
Yes, for even being willing to sit down and talk with me. But they have stuck with it.
I don't care what party you're from. You are our representative, and there should be a decency to sit down and have an open and valid conversation.
Yes.
Even if you disagree 100% with them, and they with you. But to shout.
Well, I think you're going to find that we don't, though, right?
Yeah.
We're going to find that there is some common ground.
Oh, absolutely. So, Kathy, thank you. I know you've got a busy day today, and you're going to come back often, right?
Yeah, thanks for what you're doing and helping just
we're trying
highlight what's going on in this community, and the people that are making a difference.
This is my community. Moved here 41 plus years ago, and I love it. And I think it's important to have good conversations.
And the highlight of serving in Congress has been the people that I get to meet, and people that are making a difference in this community, and it's often the untold stories. So keep telling those stories.
We will do that.
They're powerful.
Thank you, Kathy, for coming in. All right.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break till next week. See you next week on Spokane Talks Live. Have a great week, everybody.
Spokane Talks Live is produced in Spokane, Washington by Spokane Talks Online, LLC, which is solely responsible for its content. To recommend a guest or topic, or to see this program again, please visit our website, SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Spokane Talks Live is brought to you by our friends at Homes for You and Breakthrough Incorporated. Join us next Wednesday, noon, for another nourishing conversation on Spokane Talks Live.